is it's already started. We feel the ground shifting underneath us. It has already started. There are 3 revolutions taking place.
Welcome back to the channel, guys. In this video, we're going to be talking about the CEO of ARK Invest, Cathie, and Elon Musk is out with yet another awesome predictions for Bitcoins, and they are blames the crypto crash on ESG movement. It was prospected by the ESG environmental, socials, and the governance movement, and this notion, which was exacerbated by Elon Musk, that there were some real environmental problems with the mining of Bitcoin. A lot of institutional buying went on pause. She said during an interview with Nathaniel Whitemore, what is this importance and how does these predictions by this expert hedge fund managers depict a very terrible moments? Let's find out shortly. Before we dive in the video, subscribe to the channel and turning on the red notification button so you'll never miss any of our future fascinating and interesting videos like that one. Founder, Chief Executive Officer and Chief Investment Officer of ARK Investment Management, a hedge fund with 309 clients and discretionary assets under management in tens of millions of dollars. Cathie is out in the rampage with her predictions regarding this Bitcoin crash as well as other events happening in the space. According to this season's hedge fund managers, Bitcoin has provided itself to be not just a store of the value but an equidates on that as it proffers investors with a seamless solutions to protect themselves against wealth exclusions. Amid all of the frenzy brought by the just recently concluded Ethereum upgrade, Larry refers to as the Musk expert financiers had hinted that such events happening in the space are the brainchild of the potentials to emulate the stables of the settlement networks following the introductions of the layer 2 solutions like the Lightning Network for Bitcoin. However, she added that her firm ARK has increasingly focused on Ethereum, heavily invested in Grayscale's Ethereum Trust, and hired an Ethereum miner to its fintech analysis team. Just as she believes, from a developmental point of view, we are integrated by stablecoins and decentralized finance of the cores and non-fungible tokens, and we are also very interested that developers are migrate very quickly. I always say to our analysts, follow the developers, let's see what they are doing, because that's a very loud signal. Following data from Bloomberg, the massive sell-off about a week ago in what is known to be the aftermath of August's hotter than expected inflation print, Cathie ARK Investment Management had taken that to be an opportunity as the firm invested heavily into the stock market, buying into 27 stocks across 8 different exchanges traded funds during that time, with its largest buy being Rock, which was already the 3rd biggest holding in the firm's flagship $8 billion ARK Innovations. Nonetheless, the ARK Invest CEO has not shied away from sounding the depression's alarm as she identifies the potential risk Bitcoin falling below the $14,000 mark while blaming the threat to the flagship cryptocurrency crash partly the ESG movement and the partly on Elon Musk, whose tweet Cathie urges to be among the major causative agent for Bitcoin's continuing crash in prices. Right after the CEO of Tesla tweeted over the weekend about a major Federal Reserve's interest rate hike that could potentially increase the possibility of the deflations, during which Elon Musk implies that against rising unemployment in the United States, the demand for goods and services will be subject to a drastic descent. Which follows on with the tweet from the Cathie that read, deflations in the pipeline, heading for the PPI, CPI, PSE deflator from the post-COVID-19 price peaks, lumber's minus 60%, copper minus 35%, oil minus 35%, iron core minus 60%, DRAM minus 46%, coal minus 17%, Baltic freight rates minus 79%, gold minus 17%, and the silver minus 39%. From 2020 to 2021, there is a large number of new entrants in the space of the digital assets, which pretty much doubles the total holding in the treasuries. And as the market slowed down, everything stopped. One financial experts would say that, however, contrary to all that bearishness, Cathie would leave off a little pep talk for all and every crypto and equity market investors out there. That's it for today. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, then turning on the red notification button. We're uploading daily videos on cryptocurrency on that channel, so you'll never miss any for future fascinating and interesting videos like that one. See you next time.
As many of you may know, in our Big Ideas 2022, which is at arc-invest.com, we have a price target in 2030 for Bitcoin of more than $1 million per Bitcoin. And yeah, see, even you can't believe it. I expected a big roaring no, but and if you go in and you'll see how we build that case, we see institutional investors. All we expect over the next 8 years is that 2.5%, roughly 2.5% of assets, institutional assets, are allocated to Bitcoin. You know, the SEC has declared, as we all know, that Bitcoin is not a security. Now, Gary Gensler is talking pretty aggressively about everything else out there being a security. So I think this has elevated Bitcoin from a risk point of view, not to a lower risk. I shouldn't say elevated. It's actually lowered the risk that it's so clear Bitcoin is not a security, and everything else, at least in Chairman Gensler's eyes, is. Yes. Michael and I had a very spirited discussion yesterday afternoon about inflation as an issue, or is it ultimately going to go away? And we don't agree on everything, but one thing that I know and that we agree on is that if inflation is an issue, clearly Bitcoin is a great hedge against inflation. Yassine El-Mandra, who's our lead crypto analyst, leading our crypto effort, and David Puel, many of you may know him from his on-chain analytics work. He's created many metrics that many people are using these days, so we're so happy to have him on board as well. In this report, we'll see that for the first time in Bitcoin's history, we've seen 9 consecutive weekly declines. And so when we first looked at that, I think the tendency was to say, that's really negative. And my question to the team was, well, could it be oversold? Could the rubber band be stretching here? Or is there something wrong? And we don't know the answer to that, so we put that in neutral category, and you'll see we'll put each of these metrics in bullish, bearish, or neutral. But we do know what happened in the last month is that Terra, the blockchain Terra, blew up, and Luna is worthless. I think I'm correct in saying that that the market cap of that ecosystem at one point was around $60 billion, with a lot of well-known advocates for it. I was surprised because algorithmic stablecoins don't make any sense to me. I have a background in economics, and I think you need the backing of something in order to have a stablecoin. And this did not. And so it didn't surprise me to see the number, I think this is the number of Luna outstanding, go from, in the span of a week, something like 350 million to 6.5 trillion. And I think it maybe even got to 20 trillion. So that's hyperinflation. There was nothing backing it. And I can say we would never have touched it. Nonetheless, that turmoil, that it didn't create a systemic risk, and we've been paying attention to the other stable coins out there. Are they going to so-called break the buck? So that expression came about after the reserve fund, a money market fund during 0809, broke the buck. People holding that money market fund were going to get less than $1 back for every dollar they put in. And of course, the Fed had to come and rescue that fund, because that was going to become systemic in the 0809 meltdown. we just learned from Jolene Caruso that millennials are 70 million strong in our economy, and now bigger than the baby boomers as a demographic. And I'm going to harken back to Stan Salvigson. Most of you won't remember who he was. He made one very important call in the early 80s. He said, baby boomers are going to be the reason that the equity market goes up for the next 20 years. It was a brilliant call. He's no longer with us. We're in the echo now. And I do believe that both crypto and the equity markets are going to be powered by millennials. In fact, Tom Lee at Fundstrat, he has done the arithmetic the way that Stan did. And I think he says this bull market will not end at least until 2026, and maybe not until 2038 when the number of millennials peaks out there.